Welcome back to Suncoast View. Gray hair is having a moment, and for once, it's not a negative one. Much of Hollywood is happily going gray. And let's be honest, it's going to happen to all of us. So we asked Pleas, the owner of Cutting Loose Salons, to talk to us about gray hair care and how to make the switch, and I took this word from you, let our sparkles shine, because you've always referred to gray hair as sparkles.
Yes, we've always called them. That's right.
What do you think it is that kind of brought gray hair on trend right now?
Well, the trend was starting before the pandemic, but rightfully the pandemic just kind of threw it to the other edge because the world stopped. Social things ended, they weren't going to work, so if they were ever going to let it grow out, that was the perfect time.
And a lot of times we had to make the choice to grow it out because we weren't able to go to our salons and get our hair colored. So once the trend started, now people are embracing it.
They really are.
So tell us what we need to consider if we've thought about maybe going, in my case, from a colored hair to gray hair. Before we get to the models, run down some of the things as a stylist you're concerned about.
Okay, well, our silver-haired beauties, you know, when we talk about that, it's salt and pepper hair. Gray is salt and pepper. When it's coming in that beautiful white salt, most of the time you can, assume it's going to be flattering and beautiful. It's when that gray, the darker, comes in that we find it not as flattering and maybe a little aging. So, but there's ways to, be able to do both. But when it comes in that silver white, it's beautiful.
It is absolutely beautiful. And I know that it's so on trend that some people who aren't quite there yet are going to it just because of the actual look. So what do you say to your guests when they're pondering it, who might think, what if it makes me look older?
Well, I think it's choosing the 3 different ways you're going to choose to do it. And then also seeing, we always want to have at least 2 inches of new growth to be able to do anything for the color or the cut. So you can usually see if it's going to be a flattering color. And the other thing, it's more on like those olive warm tones. If you have pink tones in your skin, it's, you're more into the rose gold. So really looking at your skin tone and the way the hair is coming in.
And this is what professionals are for, to be able to do that for us. I know Sarasota Magazine recently did a feature where you talked about this gray hair trend. So we asked you to come talk to us about it and bring us some models so we can look in person. So let's meet our models. And I love how Coral has named them silver-haired beauties.
Silver-haired beauties.
Of course they are. So tell us what Sharon decided to do with her hair.
Okay, well, both of our models are guests of the salon, and Carrie Johnson is their stylist. So when Sharon came in, she was a blonde, and when she was growing it out, this is when we went into that transitional color, where you literally put in a head of baby highlights. You can see there as a blonde.
Okay, so here's Sharon as a blonde.
A head full of baby lights, and then you actually put the gray back in between the foils. So it is a process, but it is the best way when you want to be able to transition nicely. But definitely a professional stylist needs to do this.
So it is possible to have the blonde hair that Sharon had with, I'm going to assume, some gray coming through.
Yes.
You were then able to mix and blend the former blonde and the new gray and then add some gray until she was able to get to this.
Because this is her still grown out, but the color is probably mid-shaft down.
Wow, you could never tell.
The color that Carrie created in the salon. So it is beautiful.
It is beautiful. Absolutely stunning. And I love the fact that you were able to retain the style and beautiful hair that she'd always had.
It was important for Sharon to keep her length. So I think that was a big thing. So this is our transitional grow out. And then of course the least expensive way is just to let it grow out. But that's not very flattering or sexy.
Yeah, no, most of us don't like that line.
I think, and the salons, we've really come up with some great formulas because it has become a trend.
No, it looks absolutely beautiful. I would never know in your mid-grow out at all. It looks stunning. All right, let's talk about Priscilla. I call this sexy spunky. It is so fun. I just want to play with the top.
Well, Priscilla has been one of our guests, and she rocks it. So the other way to do it is to cut it off. We call it the big chop, which a lot of people aren't going to be comfortable with. But as you can see on Priscilla, she is sexy and rocking. And now we have so many short, sexy, pixie looks.
Right.
And actually Priscilla, I mean, she changes her hair more often than most people with long hair. She can wear it down, she can wear it back. And
how do you get that height? her height on top is
Product.
Well, of course. So teach
Well,
us.
speaking of how she gets a high on top is Orbe has come out with a whole line of silver body, because the one thing you have to remember when you have that silver, you still need to use a blue or now silver shampoo to keep the yellow out, just like blondes.
Right.
We have to use the blue.
Blondes use purple shampoo.
Now,
silver
they
we
have
use a bluish or a silverati.
And it's silverati, and it's luminescent. You can see the shine.
Lots of shine in there.
That it puts in the hair. But it's a wax, it's a pomade.
Okay.
So then putting that in, if you want to hold that, Priscilla.
And then you're able to get some height and
Right,
mess
and then you're
around.
just, and the messier it is, the cuter it looks, you know?
Oh, absolutely. And you've got some texture in there too.
Hers is her natural, really, it's her natural texture, which she didn't even realize she had until she started styling it different.
Does natural gray hair have a coarser texture?
You know what, it usually has a thicker cuticle, and I think Sharon could say that too, a thicker cuticle, so it does seem to have more hair. But the other thing that really happens when you're letting it, especially like Priscilla's, when you stop coloring, highlighting, texture, doing all of those, you know, chemical services on your hair's sometimes just healthier.
Right,
So,
and that gives you more of it and volume.
texture.
You ladies both have gorgeous texture and volume. And I would definitely say this is sexy silver. So
Sexy silver.
Sexy silver. We absolutely
Our
love
beauties.
it. All right, well, Coral, you can find more about her work by going to cuttingloose.net. And you can also see this article on how gray is trending on Sarasota Magazines and their website. So be sure to check out and answer any questions. We'll be right back.